The business of operations management is difficult, particularly in large enterprises like banking, insurance, and other services companies with teams of hundreds and thousands around the globe. Now add in recent pandemic forcing the workplace to change forever. Managers and employees are under immense pressure to get work done, while also finding ways to balance performance and well-being. The complexity is building, and it can be difficult to find the answers. This podcast, AO On Air, partnered with ActiveOps, is designed to help identify areas that will help employees, managers, and senior leaders find solutions to the challenges within operations management. The future of work will take all departments, such as HR, IT, and Ops, aligned along with a steady dose of innovation to succeed. We'll bring you topics, thought leadership, and simple plans to help lead your teams into the future of work. A hybrid work world that will learn from one another and truly act globally, breaking down the silos of older management models for new ways of working. Welcome to the journey. Now let's begin.
Hello and welcome to AO On Air. My name is Michael Cups. I'll be your host today. We have an interesting topic today to discuss, and I'm excited about our guest to join us because she has some expertise in the topic. Recently, President Joe Biden has passed an executive order that will be enforced by the Department of Labor, specifically OSHA, that pushes a mandate to all companies that have over 100 employees. Aside from any political stances or opinions, which you can go to Twitter to read about those, I'm sure, we're going to talk about what this does to businesses and how this affects business, because it could be highly disruptive if not managed appropriately. So I'm really excited to welcome Gretchen, the EVP of North America of ActiveOps, to discuss this topic today. Welcome, Gretchen.
Thanks, Michael. It's a pleasure to be here.
Excellent. Well, I think maybe we start, Gretchen, with an introduction of you, because you've walked in the shoes of an operations leader, right? Before you joined ActiveOps, you had many years in focusing on how to operationalize any type of challenge ahead of you. And so maybe we start there. Just give us a flavor of who you are and where you come from and your perspective.
Sure. My career before my time here with ActiveOps, I led large-scale operations for a larger insurance company in the United States. And, certainly very much part of the insurance industry is complying with regulations, and it becomes challenging. The more sites you have, the more associates that you have, trying to maintain compliance, even with the most straightforward of mandates, is a challenge.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's good. That experience probably lends itself to kind of what we're going to talk about. But while we get started, so the mandate's been issued. OSHA's starting to carry it out in different aspects and different phases and so on. Why don't we start with just the top three challenges that businesses are going to face with this mandate?
Yeah, the top three challenges, although they seem straightforward, the devil's in the details. So the first thing that companies have been focused on doing is determining their COVID vaccine and/or testing policy. The policy itself may have been under discussion for several months, but this mandate puts sort of a different lens on it in terms of really offering choice and how difficult it will be to offer a choice to not be vaccinated and carry out the weekly testing that the mandate calls for. The second piece of it is really about evidencing your compliance with the mandate. So that means for the first time for most employers, they're in a position where they need to collect vaccine cards or COVID test results and evidence that they've asked the employees to provide this assurance of their ability to be in the office with other people. And then finally, and I think this is the most difficult part of the mandate, is really managing compliance with it. So, the minute you introduce variables such as if you're not vaccinated, we want you to be tested, but the testing has to come in weekly and be refreshed for your ability to be in the office. As well as we all know that, despite COVID vaccinations helping us make great progress against the pandemic, there are still breakthrough infections for people who are fully vaccinated. So really managing the compliance, both with fully vaccinated and unvaccinated employees, becomes just a lot of variables to manage in the workplace.
Yeah, so let's take those three items and kind of operationalize them for just a little bit deeper. So certainly, first is policy, second is kind of attestation, and the third is managing it in the operation. So let's start with determining policy. When you think about the lens of how do you operationalize this, what are the challenges businesses are looking at, and what are they struggling with first?
Well, the policy itself is, fraught with risks for any employer. The first thing is, do you do the kind of work that has to be done in the office, or can people continue to effectively work from home? And the answer is, of course, different no matter, what your industry, and certainly differs by role. So you kind of have to, take a step back and say, is working from home a sustainable long-term option? And if it's not, that really is informing a lot of the policy and decision making. I think the second thing about the policy that employers are struggling with is if you make a mandate that's sort of black and white, either you must be vaccinated or you can't work here anymore, are you prepared for more attrition? And we've talked about, over the past few months that as a nation, the United States is seeing the Great Resignation, the highest attrition rate ever experienced in our labor force. And many of our customers, large employers, have lists of open requisitions for open positions. And really being black and white about your vaccine policy, while it does seemingly make the administration of this mandate easier, it does introduce challenges because people have strong opinions and may not want to comply with the mandate for a vaccine and would prefer to be tested. And then I think the last thing when you're determining policy is the more complex you make that policy, the more exceptions you have to manage. And I think that all of us are ready to get on with business as usual and try to manage as much as possible without disruption. So introducing even more complexity into an already complex return to office plan is something that employers need to be prepared for.
Yeah, exactly. It is a challenging, and we're making it more challenging. But that's okay. So now we move from policy. We've got a policy, and now we move into what you said, the task of collecting, whether it's vaccine cards or test results, et cetera. What would you say to businesses thinking about kind of this step in the journey, this checkbox that they need to get through?
Well, this is an interesting effort for both large employers and sort of mid-sized employers who might have a couple hundred or 1,000 employees. If you have a large system that facilitates your payroll and really the employee record keeping system, if you can make some updates to that software to be able to take in a vaccine card or to take in test results, certainly that's a benefit. But for those who are, without large scale systems or those types of resources, taking in vaccine cards and test results for employees is not something that we're used to doing. And really caring for that very confidential, protected health information for those employees, securing that data and making sure that it's accessed only for the right purpose is the responsibility of all employers.
Yeah, and that's challenging. Like you said, the bigger employers may have systems in place that will adapt quickly, but the mid-sized employers may not have any systems in place that would do that, or really will lean to vendors. All right, so let's move on to number 3, which is really kind of interesting because it's probably ActiveOps' sweet spot is just getting on with business, managing that compliance as part of steady state business, right?
Yes, and this is where the devil in the details comes into play. We'll have to, as employers, evidence how we keep people who are unvaccinated and untested outside of the workplace to, show our due diligence in keeping that office environment safe. And while many employers have really figured out how to accept those vaccine cards, most have not yet solved that day-to-day problem of who's going to make sure that only vaccinated or recently tested employees enter the office. That's challenging, certainly, for businesses that are just in one building, much less, many of the customers we work with have 10 sites across the United States. So how do you make sure that there is consistent day-to-day compliance with this, as well as, if somebody gives you a test result, actually being able to say, this is only valid for the next 7 days. That's a pretty large undertaking to manage that across hundreds or thousands of people.
Yeah, and it's probably not a task you want your managers to be worried about on a daily basis when they're worried about production of whatever, whether it's processing loans or claims or whatever the work may be. So with that, I understand that ActiveOps is announcing new functionality into the core product WorkiQ. So maybe you could tell us a little bit about this and how it might help these companies adapt.
Yeah, we're really excited to talk about this, Michael, because for many years, ActiveOps has worked with employers to automate the management process. And when we first heard about this mandate, we asked ourselves, can we, through our software, make compliance with this mandate both easy and effective for frontline managers? And with those two goals in mind, we've actually developed a new functionality called WorkSafe. WorkSafe is a real-time dashboard that you can access through WorkiQ, and it tells managers at a glance, can this particular employee work from the office without actually disclosing the reason why or why not. Employees can, if they have no other way to capture the information today, employees can submit their vaccine card or weekly test results securely through our application. And all the manager will see after that is a green light, you can work from the office, or red light, you can't work from the office, but the manager will never know why.
Yeah, that's amazing, because that actually allows the manager to get the business done, which keeps the business flowing, whatever that revenue stream may be. So that's interesting, and it's part of the core product that already measures performance and availability and well-being, I think.
Yes, it's really part of that whole picture. Employees certainly, are more productive. All of us are more productive when we feel safe, but employees are also looking for employers to respect their privacy. And really, if we're able to solve for both with this WorkSafe functionality, I think it's a win for business and a win for the employees.
Absolutely. So it's interesting if we kind of step to the bigger picture again. I Googled this topic quite a bit heading into this podcast, and it's amazing when you do the results you get. The results are all over the place. It goes from people that are providing testing solutions to articles about the privacy issues. It's just all over the place. Which leads me to wonder, inside of a company, whether it's large or small, you've got COOs, you've got CIOs, CHROs, and of course operations leaders, COOs, that need to figure out a way to deliver the results. How do you see them harmonizing these different groups? Because this is a challenging problem, as we talked about with the three elements earlier. How do you see that coming together and eliminating disruption that could be very significant for businesses?
Well, I think because this is such a sensitive topic, we have a natural tendency to go right to human resources to solve this problem. And while HR can help us evaluate the risks and help us to set policies, they can't alone manage this issue for the whole company. CIOs and CTOs really are weighing in to help solve the how do I collect this data securely. But for the rest of the organization, from the chief operating officer, throughout the rest of the organization, it's really those day-to-day managers that have to effectively participate in this process to keep everyone safe. And while being able to sort of manage our business without disruption, that's going to require something that is really easy to see exceptions, meaning I get some kind of an alert if somebody's in the office and based on their vaccination or testing status is not able to be. I need that to be, just easy to see and easy to resolve. And so we're hoping that WorkSafe is going to help the entire C-suite and their organizations work together to really operationalize whatever COVID policy the employer chooses to put in place without the risk and without the distraction.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a huge opportunity for that collaboration to work together. So the other thing that comes to mind is when I think about the global, while this is a U.S. mandate right now, and the immediacy is solve problems for U.S. companies because there could be big ramifications if they don't get it right. This concept of workplace eligibility, right? Who's available to work in the office, who's available to work at home, et cetera. I mean, that seems like it could affect all companies globally over time, and just that concept of eligibility seems like it can carry on past the temporary order here.
Yeah, it's hard to imagine that we wouldn't need a solution for this globally. Although this mandate is specific to COVID and specific to the U.S. right now, all countries have a vested interest in returning to the office for collaboration and for lots of other good reasons, returning to the office safely in some fashion. So, our hope is that, certainly that this is functionality that can help companies, no matter where they are, keep the workplace safe for everyone.
Yeah, exactly. Very good. Very good. Well, Gretchen, any closing comments? If not, I'd be curious to ask you, this is going to be a hot topic. It's going to be, people are looking for answers. How would somebody carry on this conversation, find you, find one of your team members to help them kind of talk through this?
Oh, that's a great question, Michael. We're happy to chat through this challenge and, share how some of our customers have already solved this problem with us. The easiest way to connect with us is to go to activeops.com/COVID. You can send us a question there or even book a demo of our WorkSafe functionality.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Gretchen. It was great to have you join us, and enjoyed the topic. And it's something that's just going to be busy, and hopefully we'll talk about this in maybe a month or two on the next podcast and talk about how we've helped companies out of this dilemma.
Yeah, that would be great news for everyone. Thanks so much.
Excellent. Well, to everybody listening, thank you for joining AO on Air. We enjoyed this conversation. We bring more episodes to you just about every week, so please join us on another one. And as Gretchen said, you can find more information about ActiveOps at activeops.com. We have a resource hub that will provide with playbooks, white papers, videos about different topics, so please check out there, or you can find us on social, on LinkedIn, Facebook, or Twitter as well. So thank you very much, everybody. Stay safe, and we'll see you next time.
At ActiveOps, we call it Management Process Automation, or MPA. MPA helps managers make better decisions by providing a consistent, easy-to-understand view of capacity and productivity. MPA does the hard work of consolidating information, forecasting and planning, and even gives you visibility of skills and capabilities across your enterprise. Your managers can make decisions based on a complete picture of their operations and then get back to leading. As work progresses, MPA helps managers spot problems early and deal with them proactively, celebrate successes properly, and match resource to workload in real time. By making managers more effective, MPA reduces operational costs. Best of all, the right MPA tools make it possible to deliver all these benefits across global enterprises with thousands of employees. Solutions like Workwear Plus from ActiveOps. Workwear Plus builds on our 20 years of experience supporting service operations to give you a 360-degree view of your operations, helping you turn operations management from a guessing game into a game-changing source of efficiency and value. Employees are empowered to manage their days and weeks feeling accomplished, confident, and able to balance work and personal life. Wherever your organization or customers live and work, ActiveOps is ready to help you deliver world-class service and employee engagement to help your company thrive. ActiveOps. See further, know more, move faster.